So when you need to build brands at scale, you need to have scale in the medium that you choose, right? So what we do again is a very fundamental volumetrics work that we do with our agency, where we have a lot of inputs which comes from whatever our market shares has been, what is our business ambition, what has been our frequency of purchase, what has been our reach to awareness ratio, and all of those things. So that's the basic principle that we follow to understand the number of people that we need to reach out to. Now, once we understand that, then we go to each of these different media to say what are the kind of people that is, or what are the number of people that is available in each of these media, and then that is where we start our media work, right? So that is how we choose our
basic volumetric.
Basic volumetrics, and then you start layering all the media requirements on that.
Hello and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, a conversation that happens with the country's best, brightest marketers, where they come and share their industry insights and strategies that have helped shape stories for their brands. Joining us today is someone very special, Riya Joseph. She's GM Media at Britannia, a company behind some of the most iconic Indian brands, right? Operating at a massive scale, their media strategy plays a very critical role in driving reach in a consistent manner and building long-term equity in a very rapidly evolving landscape. It's a challenge for sure. Today, we're going to unpeel this challenge. How do you approach work? And I'm sure we're going to have a fab conversation today, Riya.
Very, very happy to be here. And I'm also hoping to unpeel a lot of exciting insights into marketing and media from you.
I'm sure we're going to have a very good day.
Yes.
You spent 2 decades in marketing. And in these 2 decades, a lot would have changed for the consumer. Consumer then and consumer now is very different. What are those 2 specific things that you want to pick and say, this is what has changed in that consumer?
Okay, so I will start with what I have been brought up with, right? We have been doing a lot of data-backed studies in media, right? So whatever we do on media is extremely data-backed. Lots of data to be analyzed. We look at consumers. We also look at channel performances and all of those things, right? So that has been the backbone of whatever we do in media over the last 20 years. Now, that actually is the one thing that has not changed, right? So even today, we have a lot of data, whether it is from TV, digital, or social influencers, all of those things happens, right? So that has not changed, that has stayed consistent. What has changed is obviously the proliferation of media, right? And the media choices that consumers right now have. So if a consumer used to spend maybe 3 or 4 hours in a day on entertainment, maybe 20 years ago, I think it's very safe to say that that has come to maybe 8 to 10 hours simply because of the choices that they have. The second thing that has changed is obviously on the brand side, right? Because when your consumers have so many choices and they are so present for you in so many different media, then brands also have to make those decisive decisions to go to each consumer in a place where that consumer is present. So that's the change that has happened on the brand side as well. So a consumer has a lot more choices. Brands also have lots more choices. Now we just have to figure out how these two come together and can meet in a common ground.
Fabulous. So, I can already see this coming as a 2x2 matrix. Proliferation of media, various touch points, so many choices that the consumer now has, which throws a very interesting challenge at marketers on how to stay relevant.
Right.
How do you drive this relevance?
So, again, I think we all go back to basics, right? So, if you have to be relevant, you have to do reach, frequency, and contextual targeting. Right? So, these are the 3 things that we need to do. Now, again, relevance is something that happens for different brands in different stages. And I will pick one of the lesser known brands like Good Day. I'm just kidding. It is one of the most largest sold brands in the country, and we are very, very, very proud of it. So, what we decided was, Good Day is often had a lot with chai, and that's the habit for most consumers, right? They have a cookie with a chai. What we said was, Good Day is a large mass brand. We also needed to make sure that chai is relevant for Good Day. What did we do? We just tied up with one of the largest congregation of people, like Kumbh Mela, where we will have about 60 crore consumers coming in. We tied up with Chai Point. At every touch point of Chai Point, we are also along with chai, and we have been giving out Good Day to the consumers. That, I feel, has been one of our biggest relevance building exercises for Good Day at mass scale. So relevance doesn't mean that you have to let go of mass. There is mass reach and there is relevance for Good Day when you are combining Good Day, Chai Point and Kumbh Mela.
So cultural nuances very, very important for all of your brands. And I'm sure it will be a sweeping through exercise that you end up.
Right.
But when you build cultural relevance, there's also this point of alienation that comes by. How do you take care of that?
So when you talk about alienation, it is also about you need to reach out to the consumers in a context when they are absolutely open to be receptive to a brand.
So how do you drive this cultural relevance and deploy it at scale across? It gives and throws a challenge on staying true to your core.
Right. See, that is where I think we will go back to the context part that we were talking about. So, and that is one of the better parts of media right now, right? Because there is a lot of data available about the kind of consumers available in a particular context. So, if a person is coming to, say, for example, look at recipes, right? Then you know that you have a kitchen ingredient or a recipe ingredient like a cheese, which I can actually push out to a consumer because he or she is actively looking for a recipe. Then the communication that I will be working out for that consumer will be absolutely contextual to that particular content that is available for that the consumer is actually seeking for. So that is probably how we base it on.
But Riya, you also spoke of how proliferation of media touchpoints have just rapidly multiplied like how, which has led to significant amount of clutter and fragmentation. So the amount of time spent could have increased from 2 hours to 8-9 hours today. But the fragmentation and the overexposure that ends up coming and being delivered to this consumer overwhelms at a certain point of time, which throws a very interesting challenge for at least FMCG brands as a category. It's a very real challenge to solve for. How do you approach this at Britannia?
I would say fragmentation is a fact, and that is something that we all have to accept and work towards. What we do is we also look at brands in isolation. So if there are certain brands, so like for example, if there is one brand which I know needs to sell only 1 million packs in a month, right? Then what we do is data-backed strategic approach, where we say if it is going to be 1 million packs, how many people do we need to reach out to, at what frequency, in what context, and what are the kind of layering that is required. So it is a bottoms-up approach that we can work on, and that is how we work towards reaching out to that number of people. Now, because of the fragmentation, you also know that if you have 1 million packs to sell, it could be between maybe 3 or 4 or 5 cohorts of people that you need to reach out to, which is where consumer insighting also comes in handy, right? So when you know that these are the consumers, so there could be a large cohort which is extremely skewed towards quick commerce, then that out of that 1 million packs, maybe 0.1 will be kept aside for the quick commerce cohort who is maybe interested in personal care. So that's the kind of data that is available to us right now, and that is how we splice and dice the data and make sure that sales that we require gets sourced from the right kind of people at the right place.
So Riya, again, coming back to first principles, when you are faced with such media decisions, what are the guiding principles that allow you make such decisions intelligently? What are those guiding principles that help you arrive at choosing the right media platform?
So when you need to build brands at scale, you need to have scale in the medium that you choose, right? So what we do again is a very fundamental volumetrics work that we do with our agency, where we have a lot of inputs which comes from whatever our market shares has been, what is our business ambition, what has been our frequency of purchase, what has been our reach to awareness ratio, and all of those things. So that's the basic principle that we follow to understand the number of people that we need to reach out to. Now, once we understand that, then we go to each of these different media to say what are the kind of people that is, or what are the number of people that is available in each of these media, and then that is where we start our media work, right? So that is how we choose our media.
Basic volumetric.
Basic volumetrics, and then you start layering all the media requirements on that, right? So if it is a large brand at mass, that a mass media is something that we'll have to look at, and then once you have decided that there is a mass media in the mix, then you need to have a layering with the digital, then you need social influencers and all of that. That is when you start tweaking your brand story or brand messaging to adapt to each of these platforms. Because as I said earlier, you have a consumer coming to a platform or a media choice that they have made, expecting certain things on that platform. So if I have a TV messaging which I go and put it on a social media influencers page, that I'm going to create a major disconnect with the consumer. So that's how we start, right? So there is, if you have a brand at scale, and we are quite equipped to build brands at scale, we've been around for more than 100 years, right? So that's the first principle that we do, and that's been around for a long time. So I feel a good strategy, if it's well executed, can stand the test of time, because it is a very data-backed strat to follow.
Fair. And when you do this, you'll have to also bring together the strengths of both a traditional platform and a new age or a evolving platform as well. How do you do that?
Can I give you an example? Right? So, so we have this young brand called Fudget, which is a brownie, which is from our cakes portfolio. So we have like these really nice tight 10 to 15 second, which we will put on TV, right? Where, you have this absolutely drool-worthy shots of, nice fudgy brownies, like smoke coming out. It's so, it is very enticing, right? That is perfect for a television or a connected TV. I can get you some brownies. Yeah, so it's absolutely fabulous. Now, what we did was we said, but brownies, we figured that the consumers are maybe in the 13 to 18, in the teenagers, right? Because that's when there is a lot of hunger pangs, there is a lot of need for sugar, right? And a lot of need for indulgence. So we realized that teenagers, we are talking about the younger Gen Zs and the early Gen Alphas, they are most prevalent in Snapchat. So what we said was, if we are talking about brownie and you're talking about this drool-worthy shot and all of that, on Snapchat, we just said, use budget as your slang. So if something doesn't go your way, you say fudge it and get on with life.
Got it.
Right? So it's going your way is not like some life-changing things, right? You might have gotten a bad tattoo. The dog broke the lesion, ran away from the dog walker, whatever. The response was immense, right? Because we were not changing anything for the brand, but we just adapted it to the consumer in a very contextual manner, in an environment where that the consumer is expecting something like that, something quirky, something relevant for them in that environment. So that's how brands need to change also, and that's how we have adapted our community.
It boils down to one thread that I just wanted your views and thoughts on, that even a large organization like Britannia, with established brands as such, will never stop to experiment.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
And you do this regularly across established brands too?
Absolutely. So even established brands, and I would say the experimentation doesn't just come from communication or media. we start the experimentation from a product level, right? So, like, again, I'm going back to Good Day, but that is one of our most established brands, which should make us feel comfortable enough to sit on our laurels and say, Good Day will sell on its own. We don't have to do anything. What the Good Day category team does is that they always figure out what are the things that the current day consumers need. TV is still, I don't know, I might sound as if I'm really old if I say that TV still delivers. But that's a fact. TV is still one of the medium which actually delivers mass reach in India, right? We are still a single television household. There is going to be a lot of family viewing and co-viewing that you get. And I don't think there has been as much earth-shattering evidence of brands being built with the power of TV as with any other medium. Right? So, and I'm talking about FMCG brands, obviously. So, when you have a mass brand and when you're talking about a slightly rural area, or you want to talk about a slightly larger audience base that you want to look at, or you're talking about something which is brand building, television as a medium still stands very, very tall. Very, very tall, even in today's age.
Got it.
Right.
And how do you measure the success, right? So when there's a certain business objective that you need to land on, you define it very clearly. Here's the business objective, here's the kind of sales that I need to deliver, here's the reach, here's the frequency, layer on that context, it will be cultural. Now put it across the right media platforms to deliver against that task. Very, very clear. When you see this equation, there are a lot of simplicity to this as well.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that it is a lot more complex when you get into the real brass tacks of delivery.
Right.
Marketers today also tend to over-rely on certain matrices that do well. How do you fix that? What is that one piece of advice that you would want to give?
So the first thing that I would say is measurement. We were talking about it earlier also. So you should be absolutely okay to have an answer which may not be great for you, right? Because measurement means it has to be a dispassionate, a third-party measurement, which actually tells you if whatever you have done till now has actually delivered the right output that you were looking for, right? So measurement is something that I think all organizations, whichever category you're in, has to be absolutely brave about. Right. So we have two kinds of measurement which we do on a regular basis. Right. So one is, of course, brand tracks, which actually tells you whether your campaign has been delivered well, what the consumers think about your brand, what the consumers think about your campaign, whether the preference has gone up, all of those things. So that is actually a very short-term response that you get just to see if your brand measures are doing fine. What we also do is a market mix modeling. It's not new, right? So everybody is supposed to do. But I think that is something that we really, really rely on to see what has happened in the end matrix and end objective being sales, obviously, right? So there are different marketing inputs that we give in. So it's not just about media, and in media also we look at television, impact, digital, if it is about video, statics, all of those things, influencers. Then we also see what is the trade inputs that we have given, what has been the pricing that we have given, what has been the competition pricing. There's a whole gamut of inputs which goes in to understand whether, and those are the things that goes in to just see what has been the increment in sales, if it has been deployed in the right manner.
So input, output, outcome.
That's right. Absolutely. So the moment you have that measurement in place, and I believe that it's something that we should be doing on a yearly basis, because media choices are also changing every year. So, you can't say that I did this 5 years ago and that's something that we will do next year also. It's laughable, right? That's not possible. So it's something that you need to do consistently just to see what has been your media choices and what has been the output for those media choices. It's going to be quite evident. And this is not going to be a third-party thing. It is pure analytics in the back end. You're not asking anybody if they like this brand. It's just going to tell you what has been the impact on sales after a point. It also helps you figure out what's your baseline for your brands. Because even if you don't advertise, what is the number that you can expect in the next year or the year after? Right? So that is baseline.
The idea of predictability is also built into the
Absolutely. And it also shows the brand strength, right?
Yeah.
Because, you have established a brand over a period of time. You know that even if you don't advertise, there is going to be a core loyalist who's going to pick up your brand.
Right. You almost speak like an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that segues to a very interesting piece of content that I came across. Speak about her startup show.
I think it's our pride and joy, I would say. It was an insight which came about when we were all brainstorming about Britannia Marigold. So Britannia Marigold has always talked to the housewives, okay? So the insighting which came about was that for a housewife, there is 6 hours of time which she can take for herself, which is when the family goes out to school, college, office, etc. And between the time they go out and when they come in. These housewives are also extremely passionate about what they believe in. They're intelligent, they are enterprising, they have a lot of ideas as well.
Future forward.
They are future forward, right? And they are also most exposed to what is happening in the world, right? They, in fact, they run the world, right? Yeah. So they have a lot of entrepreneurship ideas and they could have a lot of dreams that they have in their minds. What Mari did was very, very simple. Mari gave them a platform where they can come and talk about what their entrepreneurship ideas can be. And very simply, you come and talk to a panel, and if the panel thinks that your idea needs a financial backing, the panel gives you money.
So Shark Tank for a very specific person.
Absolutely. And the panel is very empowering also, right? So they are actually asking. So last year, we had, I was part of the panel.
So they're not sharks, they're sweet people.
They are, okay. I don't know if I want to call myself sweet, but we had a person from NSDC, which is the National Skill Development Corporation. We had Shipra Khanna, who is an entrepreneur herself. Yeah, and then we had some entrepreneurs who were local entrepreneurs. All of them were all part of the panel. So even when these housewives are coming and pitching their ideas, we are all thinking, how can we build on to these ideas? And then obviously, if there are some really great ideas, we give them a grant of 10 lakhs. And if we feel that they need to do a little bit more training and then maybe get into their own, investing in their entrepreneurship ideas, we give them some training as well.
Nice.
Right? So, and this has been long-standing. We finished 6 seasons last year, and we are going on to our 7th season. So I think Mari is quite proud to be associated with that. Very simple ideas, but I think we are so happy to be empowering housewives like this.
Small idea, big change.
Absolutely.
We have my last question for you. What's that one campaign that you're really, really proud of?
I think I will take a very recent campaign. So I don't know if you've heard of it. So there was this...
Why I already know it.
So there was this influencer on Instagram where that fellow made some mistakes in calling a croissant Prashant, right? So that actually made the internet go crazy, right? So that fellow was like, Prashant, and and when I say it also, I think everybody can actually imagine that fellow's face going like that, right? So what the brand did was outstanding, right? They just figured that that is the one place where they can go in and own Prashant / croissant. They even changed their social media handle to Britannia Prashant.
They all came the part of the narrative.
Yes. And we had some samples which was called Britannia Prashant, not croissant. And then we had tubes, we had packages, which were sent to a lot of influencers, which was Britannia Prashant, right? Everybody was talking about it for a long time, which I feel that the brand owned that space. It was not, I wouldn't call it a huge big budget campaign. It was not a big budget campaign, but it was so relevant, socially relevant, contextual, and absolutely culture seeded.
Correct.
So I think everybody in Britannia is absolutely proud of this campaign.
Family. I had a fabulous time today, and I'm sure our viewers will have had a very wonderful time listening to you. Thank you for your perspective, your nuances on how an FMCG brand with the stature of Britannia could scale up through insights, consistency, and being always on the pulse. So you know what, Fajit, have a good day.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Riya.
Yeah.